Welcome to Women in the Middle Entrepreneurs, the podcast that gives you an unfiltered behind-the-scenes look at what it's really like being a woman in the middle who's over 50 and following her entrepreneurial dreams. Grab a superhero cape, girlfriend, because you deserve one. I'm your host, Master Certified Life Coach and Midlife Mentor, Suzy Rosenstein, and I am excited to inspire you with interviews that feature all of this midlife amazingness. Let's go. Hey there, welcome back to the show. We have another really exciting interview ahead of us today. Being passionate about creating beauty every day and inspiring people, no matter their age, to live a healthy lifestyle by design. Today, you're going to be meeting Gail Jamentz, a woman in the middle entrepreneur who's on a mission to help women design homes that not only look beautiful, but also support their physical and mental well-being. I can't wait to dive into this. Welcome to the show, Gail. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Suzy. It's a pleasure to be here today.
Oh, it's so fun to see you in my Zoom square. I love your blouse. Super fun. I know as a listener of the podcast, you can't see it, but Gail's blouse is awesome.
I love color.
That's so good. Now, I know we're going to have a great conversation today about your particular midlife entrepreneur story. We're going to be talking about your business and what's going really well, and also what midlife issues might be getting in your way to some extent and might be challenging for you a little bit here and there, or a lot. We know how it goes. There's some ups and downs. So whatever's going on with you, we want to hear all about it. So let's get started with the great question I love to start with. How old are you? How long have you been an entrepreneur? A little bit about your entrepreneurial journey and what you do in the world. So take it away.
Okay, that's a lot of questions.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we're starting with how old I am.
I like to give you some flow, some room to flow around.
Yeah, I'm 61, soon to be 62, but I feel about 40, 45. And I have to attribute that to my training and working out with the trainer. And that's one of my secrets to being a successful midlife entrepreneur, because as you probably know, running a business in your 60s, 50s or 60s, it's quite demanding. And you have to have a lot of stamina for this 24/7 digital world. So I've been an interior designer here in the Los Angeles area for 22 years. I studied at UCLA. It's a second career for me. So I went back to school in my 30s, through the old backpack on the shoulder, started at zero. But I tell you, doing a career that you are super passionate about and starting over, it doesn't feel like work.
It's so true.
And I just love it. I love creating beauty and I love making people feel good in their homes. And this last 5 or 6 years, I've taken a little bit of a different track than a lot of designers, and I've started integrating the health and wellness conversation with design, with interior design. And I have to be honest, when I first started, I was a little nervous because I thought, this is too personal a conversation to have with clients. I don't have a medical degree. My husband likes to tease me. He says, honey, you got your medical degree at Nordstrom's. Come on. But I'm so passionate about, in our 50s and 60s, laying that foundation of health. So when we get to the 80s and 90s, and if we're lucky, the hundreds, it's an easier road.
Why are you so passionate about it?
That's a good question. I got a phone call that changed my life.
What was it?
Not to get emotional here. In 2016, I was up in Lake Tahoe about to go to a wedding, and I received a phone call that my 90-year-old mother was laying on the carpet, and she was unconscious, and there was blood coming out of her nose.
Oh my goodness.
And I was like, oh dear God, I'm not ready for this. And I was 9 hours away. My husband, we had just driven 9 hours. We turned around, we drove 9 hours back to LA, and she had a hemorrhagic stroke. And thank God, she was taken to USC Keck, which is a wonderful hospital here in Los Angeles. And long story short, I became a caregiver overnight. And I was thrust into this world I didn't know anything about. I didn't know what a SNF was, a skilled nursing facility. I didn't know anything about Medicare. I didn't know anything about caregivers. And you do it. Your back's against the wall. and you rise to the occasion and you do it. And I had to make medical decisions of whether to put her on hospice. And I said, no. I said, she's not ready for hospice. She's 90 years old and she's in good shape. And I'm going to fight this. And I went against the doctor's orders. I paid some doctors privately to come to the house and start working with her after I got her out of the skilled nursing facility. And I was able to nurse her back with the help of professionals, of course.
Wow.
And she's lived 7 years since her stroke. So I've had this front row seat of what the 80s and 90s look like. And I'm like, man, we really, ladies, have to take care of ourselves at this age in your 50s and 60s. And I thought, I'm going to start marrying that passion with interior design. And so I did a lot of studying through the International Well Building Institute and about different ways that your home can support your interior environments, can support your health. And I really, it means a lot to me to bring that to clients, of course, if they're open to hearing about it. And most of them.
This is fascinating. Can you give us a couple of examples? Because I've not heard this before. Other than a wall, I don't really know what you're talking about. So
I know, I get that a lot, Suzy, and I shouldn't assume that everybody understands. The term wellness is a little vague. So there are different pillars to wellness design. We're looking at your air quality in your home. We're looking at your water filtration systems. We're looking at creating maybe that workout zone or little workout area in your house where you have everything ready and there's no excuses. The mat's down, the weights are organized. We're looking at, let's change out some of those appliances in your kitchen. Let's get a steam oven there so you can do some steam cooking. It makes fabulous salmon and vegetables, and it's a healthier way to cook. Let's look at your bathroom. And I have 3 clients right now. We're doing they're all in their 60s. We're doing steam showers. And they're like, oh, I love this. We're bringing a little bit of the spa into the home. And it helps with respiratory issues. If I'm helping a client with their home office, the first thing I encourage them to do is let's get a sit-stand desk because we're all sitting way too much.
Oh, I can feel my bum just getting wider and wider.
I know. I tell you. They say sitting is the new smoking. We're all, and especially, during COVID, oh my gosh, we were all sitting way too much. So we look at all of these health and wellness elements that we can bring into the home besides doing, the beautiful drapes or, the new sofa or the kitchen remodel. We're addressing things that can support your health. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. And do you do a green wall, like a plant wall?
We can certainly do. Plants are a big part of it. They clean the air and they give you that sense of connection to nature. They help reduce stress. Plants are wonderful.
Oh, we're crazy about plants in my family. And
are you?
Oh, yeah. We have hydroponic situation in the kitchen and this beautiful cabinet that looks like furniture instead of like just an all plasticky unit.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's only 9 inches deep and it just sits, it's like a bookcase kind of thing. And we have that going all year. And I've got plants everywhere because I have a big dog and he squishes things outside. So I kind of went with focusing on inside. Oh, and I have 3 sons in their 20s, and the middle son moved to his own apartment and he was inspired by how he grew up with the plants, and he's crazy for plants now. So whenever I'm always rooting little bits and things for him, like starting them off and then giving them to him, and he's loving it. So his whole desk is surrounded by plants.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So nice. Yeah. I love that can be part of your work too. It's so good.
Do you name your plants?
I don't. But I can see why you might.
I have a couple clients that love their plants and they have names and it's kind of fun. I'm like, okay, how's Bert doing today? Yeah.
Well, it's when you do connect with nature inside your house, especially living in a climate like Toronto, where half the year is like not.
Yes.
And I really miss being outside and gardening more often in this climate. So it really helps to bring the outside in for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love that. So, when your clients come to you, are they aware that this is an opportunity, or do they start working with you and then they're blown away by what's possible and some of the things you're telling them?
Typically, they're aware they want to resolve their pain point, whether it's the unattractive master bath or the kitchen that's too cramped or not enough light or old appliances or the master bedroom that's been neglected. They're not really thinking about health and wellness. So it's kind of a nice little surprise to them. You know, we do a pretty extensive intake process, like the first meeting, and we do ask some politely probing questions to see if they're receptive to that. And then they're like, oh, really? I didn't know that. That's so cool. Oh, you can do this and you can do that. It's a new focus in the interior design industry. And there are a lot of manufacturers are jumping on board. A lot of magazines are jumping on board because we all realized going through COVID that your home is everything. You know, this is where we spend a lot of time, and it really has to support you. Particularly here in LA, things are pretty frantic. You know, it's a very hectic pace. And the one word that keeps coming up on the initial client interviews is, I want a calm house, Gail. I want somewhere that's serene, that I can unplug. And I love that. I love when clients say that. I'm like, okay, we know how to do that through color, through texture, through plants, like you said, through all types of design tools to create a respite for you.
Oh, I love that. You know, the other thing that you said that really caught my attention is creating a workout space of some sort where you can leave stuff out. Like if I could leave my shoes out and socks that I like and a bra, along with a mat or a weight or whatever else, leaving things out it helps move things along and increase the likelihood that you're going to do what you have scheduled versus having to pull things out and bend over and tie shoes. And I don't know, just doing all this stuff can really slow you down. Like if I don't have the right bra, if I can't find the right bra, or if I can't find my socks, that will throw everything into a tizzy. Yeah. You know, it's just like, ugh. And I find the same thing with hobbies, crafting, art. Like if you have a place to leave things out, you're more likely to just sit down for 20 minutes and do a little something. It doesn't always have to be a couple of hours, you know, and with that kind of thing, it's so good for creativity and calming down and inspiration. It's really part of wellness as well. So I find those two things, exercise and hobbies and crafts, if you have a dedicated space for it, I'm finding it very useful. What do you think?
I agree, Suzy, 100%. There's a term that we use. It's called positive visual cues.
Ooh.
And you're exactly on the money when you say, if you have those positive visual cues, you're more likely to do the activity. At my house, we have the yoga mat out all the time. So I get my coffee in the morning. I go right to the mat and I have to stretch. I'm 61. I'm getting out of bed and I'm going, ooh, ah, ee, ah, oh, yeah. And so I go right to the mat. It's out. I don't have to search for it. That saves me 5 minutes. The weights are out and I start my routine. In the kitchen, you know, we encourage clients again with positive visual cues. If you see a plate of cookies with saran wrap over it and you come home at 5 o'clock and you're hungry, guess
what? It's an invitation. It's
a total invitation. Exactly. But if you have a beautiful canister with some almonds or fresh fruit, or, you know, a Perrier, not soda, you know, again, setting up those positive visual cues is a part of how we like to address the home. So,
oh my gosh, you know what? I did one of these. I didn't even know that's what it was called, but I'm trying to drink more water. So of course I have it here. And I like to have a glass of water first thing in the morning with a little bit of lemon. So I cut up the lemon and I put it in a container with the screw top in the fridge. So that simple thing is making it easier for me to put lemon in my water, but I'm leaving lemon in a glass of water on the island. So every time I go in there, I see it. And because it has lemon in it, it's pretty. I put it in a nice glass and it's, you know, it's in addition to this water container thing that I have on my desk. So it's there. And I can't believe how simple it was. It's helping.
It does. It does. And, you know, one other thing of talking about hydration is they have these dedicated water faucets that will provide you with sparkling water on demand.
Oh,
is that coolest? No
That's
more.
Cool.
schlepping bottle or cases of Perrier or Pellegrino and then contributing to single-use plastic waste. You turn on, it's a Growy blue faucet or a zip water faucet. And you get instant sparkling water. And that also helps with reducing your sugar intake if instead of grabbing a soda or a Gatorade or something.
I love that. We have Instant Hot, and I can't believe how much I use that.
Oh, they're great.
When we first put it in, I thought, well, it's oatmeal and tea. Yeah, but it's tea. I use it so much for tea. I can't even believe it.
Yeah. And those are fun if you're a grandparent and you have the kids over, and they want a little hot cocoa and you've got your quick instant hot water. And I'm just really loving the instant sparkling water.
I had no idea. That's great. That's great. Okay. Now tell me, what is going on with this collision of midlife and you trying to run your business the way you want to? So you mentioned you are a caregiver for your 97-year-old mother. So tell me a little bit more about that and all the other things.
Okay. Yes, it is a bit of a collision course, but you manage. You rise to the occasion. I am still a caretaker. I manage 5 caregivers that work for my mother 24/7. So I'm an HR in that department. So every time the phone rings, it's surprise. It's total surprise. And then I also manage her finances, her real estate, her medical appointments, her social life. So it's a lot. It's a lot. But you know what? I love her to pieces, and that's what I'm going to do. Concurrently, I'm running an interior design practice. I have employees. We're running construction jobs, dealing with clients who are, can be demanding at times, but you just learn to adapt. So I think really having a lot of stamina at this age is crucial. And I kind of joke with my girlfriends and I say, you know what? We have to double down on self-care during this period. And self-care can mean a lot of things. It can mean hiring a coach. It could be hiring a trainer. It could be hiring a personal assistant. It could be just booking one day a month at the spa. Or, it's just we can just get so depleted. And then, gosh, we have the hormones working against us too, right?
We do.
With the big M. So it's okay to ask for help and get help. And I think it's a time in life where we've all given so much to the children, to the spouse, to the aging parent. It's time to invest in us and not feel guilty about it and not feel shamed about it from other women. They're like, oh, I could never do that. But you know what?
I'm glad you mentioned that because there are judgments that are shared and we get to decide how we want to interpret them.
Yeah.
But, you mentioned that you have 5 caregivers for your mother. Now, let's just think about that because I think, again, this is what people really aren't appreciating. When you're an entrepreneur at our age and you're open to getting help and you need to get help, you do have to manage the help. And just that little piece is huge. 5 caregivers.
It is.
For your mom. And when you said they call and you never know what it is, and it might be something about them not being available or needing a change, or it might be something about your mother or something about where she's living or a medical thing, like who knows what it is. But there's a lot of coordination and a lot of things to keep straight. So what's that like for you?
I'm going to date myself and say I could write a movie of the week. Do you remember when we were growing up, there was the movie of the week. So it's never boring. I do have an agency that, kind of coordinates the ladies, but they know I have pretty high expectations. I'll be honest. They know, it better be a good reason why they're calling me. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. I've gone through quite a number of caregivers to get a really good team. And the team I have now has been with us about 4 years and they're awesome. And they're very connected and they like working together as a team. So I call it Team Gracie. That's my mom's name. And, I check in with them and it's a lot of different personalities and issues, but for the most part, I think it just takes time to build your team. And, hopefully you have a parent that is gracious and accepts the help and doesn't give too much pushback. And
that's another whole thing. Yeah.
That's a whole nother thing. But that really does help. So,
Okay, so you've got juggling all these caregivers, you have your business. Now, I know in your notes, you also mentioned you're trying to stay connected with girlfriends. Can you tell me a little bit about that? Because I've heard, I speak to a lot of midlife women.
yeah.
And a lot of people find that's an easy thing to cut off because it's more about joy and less about neediness, and it's just like it seems extra and it's so not. So tell me a little bit how you're managing to stay connected.
Yeah, that's a good question. It is so easy to brush off, and especially if you're still working and handling all of this. And it is the one source of support that you really, really need. And I think commiserating about, because a lot of my girlfriends at this age, we're all dealing with aging parents. And it just helps to talk to other women that are going through it, have a glass of wine and laugh a little and just give some support. So, I try to schedule, I think right now, one thing a week is about all I can handle. And then I make phone calls in the evening when I'm doing the dishes or whatever. I've got my headphones on and just to stay connected. And it helps to hear what they're going through because, some people have their parent in a facility. Some people have them at home and we help each other out and we support each other. And I think that's one thing when you're thrust into this world, it can be overwhelming. And to know that you have some girlfriends that are resources that have been through it is very, very helpful.
Totally. And that's really one of the rationales for creating this podcast and the community that I have, right? Because people, if you feel alone, you're going to sink. You just can't.
You're going to get so stressed out.
So it's so hard to think that you're alone and you don't have somebody to talk to. And hearing other people's stories is so helpful. Like just what you said, it's so easy to relate to almost anything somebody is saying. You can relate in some way. And that's helpful. It's helpful for you and it's helpful for the woman sharing. That's so good. Okay. Now the thing I need to hear some specifics about too is how you're honoring your commitment to yourself to strength train 3 times a week. So how are you doing that? Because I'm sure there's people and things clawing at your time and want that little time that you've carved out. So how are you managing that?
Okay. Well, I have to say the gym is my happy place. Happy, happy, happy. I was able to find a small gym. So we have like a small community. We're all over 40. And I set it up where I have a trainer. If I don't show up, I get a text. So the piece is it's accountability. If I just have a straight gym membership, everything will get in the way. I have to go to a construction job site or a parent issue. But if you build in that accountability where you have to be there in the morning, it's going to get done. And I'm stronger now at 61. You can't see my biceps, but I actually have a little.
I bet they're impressive, my friend.
I'm stronger at 61 than I was in my 30s.
Oh, don't mess with Gail.
Yeah. And I'm really proud of it because I see a lot of women give up at this stage and they're like, oh, I can't do that. Oh, I've gained 20 pounds. I'm like, you know what? Just commit to whatever it is. If it's yoga, if it's strength training, Pilates, boxing, but have it built in so you have to be there and there's somebody there kind of taking attendance and
you're on to your shenanigans, right?
It's building that muscle. It burns fat at this age and we all we need that because we're going through menopause. So so true. All right. Now, one of the questions I love to see how women answer it is about some of the challenges that are really getting in the way. And I love how honest you were about talking about overwhelm. And so overwhelm is one of those emotions that is not that useful. It really does get in the way. And you said that you're driven and you take on a lot. And then there's having this pressure of other people depending on you personally and professionally. So there's a lot going on. Tell me a little bit about what overwhelm feels like for you. Well, I do have a lot of energy. So I say yes to a lot of things.
Yeah.
And I actually listened to a podcast yesterday, and the lady who's also a midlife lady said, promise me you will not take on anything else without first agreeing to set up support to accomplish that task.
Love that.
I'm like, ooh, that is good because I don't. I'm like, oh, I can do it.
Yep.
I'm a type A. I got it. And then my poor husband's like, oh my God, how many things did you say yes to? It's
Yeah.
so I think I'm going to start thinking about, okay, I want to do that. I want to create this course for my business, but what's the support piece? Who's going to help me? Because, I have to be honest, I'm up till 12:30 every night, but I can handle it, but I don't think it's a pace I should keep up too much longer. So being driven, but learning how to balance that a little bit.
Yeah. Because you're really the only one who can balance it, right? Saying yes is coming out of your mouth.
Oh, I know. And I love to help people. So
Of
it's
course.
like, sure, yeah, I'll plan that party. Sure, yeah, I'll take your daughter here. It's like, okay, whoa. So
Yeah, exactly. So that's great that you're aware of that. And then the other thing is this having white space on your calendar for relaxing, creativity, hanging out with other women. And so I've been thinking about that a lot. In fact, I was thinking about it last night. My goal in the next month is to really lock down some white space. And I want to watch myself have urges to fill it up and not succumb to the urge. I noticed that there's not enough white space. And when there's not enough white space, it's a problem. But specifically, you just always feel like you're doing something wrong. So I think I'm going to start treating it in my calendar like I treat other appointments. And then I'll know specifically what my expectation is,
I think that's a great idea. I think for me, I'm having to visually put it on my calendar. And I put it in pink because that's my happy color. And that's like, okay, that's my time. And, I get a lot of requests from clients. Oh, could you just come over just for 15 minutes and just look at the tile or the paint or this and that? And it's hard, but sometimes I have to say, you know what? I'd love to see you, but I have a meeting. I don't tell them it's a meeting with myself.
I love that.
And then I say, you know what? I'd be happy to be there Monday at 9:00. Could you hold? And I think as you get older or farther along in your career, you're able to say that with confidence.
Yeah. Gail, what you just said, I think is a breakthrough idea. We have this compulsion to overshare sometimes. And if you said that, oh, I have some plans. I'm going to be just resting. Can you imagine what somebody would say? What do you mean you're resting during work hours? But I need you. Like it would start this whole thing of judgment and commentary. And there's no reason that you need to share that. You could just say you're busy. You have a commitment. You have an appointment, which is true. So elevating our commitment to ourselves to the same degree as commitment to other people, I think is the challenge. I just was making a podcast last night. It'll come out soon. And I spoke about that. It's like we don't have commitment to ourselves elevated to the same
level that. I absolutely love that, Suzy. Elevate the commitment. I'm writing this down. Elevate the commitment to ourselves.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And I think we're so wired not to do that as women.
Yeah. And women of our age, like when we grew up, it was very common to sacrifice all of our needs, right? Yeah. And for other people. And we still do it anyway. But can we do it less? And can we get better at prioritizing what we want and elevate it so that it's as important as a commitment to a client?
Yeah. It's funny how men aren't wired that way.
No, they're providers. It's a different, and I know this is classic stereotypes and stuff, but if you really think about a lot of the people that we know, and of course there are people who don't fit these stereotypes, but yeah. It's definitely a common thing in our culture of the time we grew up. In this podcast I just recorded, I referred to the Brady Bunch. I love the Brady Bunch. I grew up on the Brady Bunch. But think about how their relationship, the parents, how their relationship was so normal of the times.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So normal. The Brady Bunch was, the only thing that was kind of crazy was having 6 kids. But their lifestyle was, they had a cool house. That was pretty much what was happening. And then
there was Alice, families. Right?
Oh, yes.
Alice. I'm still trying to find Mr. French.
Well, since you're a designer, I'll share that we live in a Brady Bunch house.
Oh, do you?
Very much that style. And this is the second Brady Bunch house. The first Brady Bunch house had a kitchen that looked so much like their kitchen, except it was yellow and white. I think theirs was orange and green. It was so funny to see it because I'm like, even a yellow Kohler sink. And I'm like, wow.
Oh, you're totally back in style. All that retro mid-century modern that's so in right now. Really popular in California.
Oh yeah, I bet. But
Yeah.
this kitchen was not cool in that house. Anyway, I love that you're onto yourself. I call it shenanigans when it comes to dramatic stuff. We open up the door to drama. And whereas if we were just more committed and clear about those boundaries, as committed as we are to other people with external accountability, there wouldn't be the drama. It would just be, that's a no.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is a yes. That's a no. Yeah, it's not like that yet, but we can all work on it. So what would you say some of the surprises have been about you being an entrepreneur at this age?
Well, I'll give you one funny one. I am amazed at how many beauty appointments you have to maintain at this age to look good as a midlife entrepreneur. This is a whole nother job. And I kind of joke with my staff and they're like, okay, if she's not at the office, then she's at the beauty salon because, we have the chiropractor, we have the hair touching up the roots, we have the Botox, we have the nails, we have, as my husband calls it, the girl tax. And, so it just takes, again, a little more planning and still honoring that commitment because it feels good to look good. And you attract a certain type of clientele. And, I think it's important not to let ourselves go, not to look in the mirror and go, oh my God, the wrinkles, the gray hair,
But you know what? It's so interesting because looking good is completely subjective. And you've decided what looks good for you.
Yes.
And you're upholding it. And there's nothing wrong with that. But what I'm so surprised by is I also feel like I need to look a certain way. I've noticed my eyebrows have completely disappeared. I don't know what to do with that.
Yeah.
There's some weird hair in weird places on my face, which is not great. And
yeah.
There's some things where I have an age spot that's under an eye and it looks like a bag. I'm like, come on, I had to get an age spot there as if there's not enough problem in that area. But it's just because we're online, we're doing videos, we're meeting all these new people. It's very easy to be self-conscious. And I'm just amazed by people who aren't. And I find it fascinating, people that don't wear makeup, people that don't color their hair. And again, there's no right or wrong. You have to find what's right for you.
Right.
But it's just interesting to notice that not everybody thinks this way and that we have choices. You just want to feel good about your choices.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm certainly not saying everybody has to run out.
No.
Do all these things. Some people are just naturally very gifted and can look terrific with very little effort. But I think as a business owner, you have a certain image to project. And let's be honest, there's also, there's a lot of young women that are, we have to stay in the game and we have to look nice. And we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I know. It's just so funny. Like one thing I noticed, well, I don't even know if funny is the right word, but one thing I noticed over doing work in this area over the years is that when people tell me I don't look my age, it feels like a compliment. And
absolutely.
Right. And then I started to think, why is it a compliment? Why isn't it okay to look my age? What does my age look like? And it's just all thoughts that people have that we grew up, seeing in commercials and sitcoms and movies and maybe our grandmothers. And, it's just so funny. But I noticed I felt so good when I got a compliment that I didn't look my age. And then for a few years, I didn't get any of those compliments. And I went, oh, I don't know what's going on here. I don't know. But I really paused about that. I'm like, why do I think it's a compliment not to look my age? What's wrong with looking my age? Why am I making that? It's just so interesting. Yeah. And we're in the public and there's ageism and all the things, right? So it is complicated. And I think you hit the nail on the head is you found what helps you feel confident. And that's great. And I don't feel confident right now about my eyebrow situation. So I think I should talk to somebody about that because I've been winging it and I'm like, I don't know if I'm doing this right.
Yeah. Well, I think one other nice part about being this age and being a business owner is we do have confidence and we know some stuff, and that confidence comes internally, not just externally from your style and your fashion and your hair and your makeup, but it comes internally. And when you project that with potential clients, existing clients, patients, people gravitate towards that. And I love being a business owner at this age. I'm like, I know some stuff,
You do know some stuff.
Yeah. And nobody is going to, especially in construction, these guys will try to run circles around you with excuses of why they can't do things or it's not up to code or this or that. And I'm like, oh, no. I've been doing this 22 years. Don't even try that with me. And, so it's fun I find it fun being a business owner in her 60s. And I like also helping the young ladies come up the ranks and seeing their enthusiasm. And now, granted, there's a lot more online resources these days for budding entrepreneurs, a lot more than when we grew up, a lot more trainings and this and that. But there's nothing really replaces that one-on-one taking a young lady under your wing. And
I love that. And so many midlife women get such fulfillment out of mentoring and giving back. Because we're not just older, we're older and wiser.
That's the
so
key
much
word.
Wiser, so much experience. Obviously, we have a lot of experience.
Yeah. And, we've made mistakes. And hey, if we can share that and, share how we bounced back and got back on the right track, it's wonderful.
It's so good. There's one question I wanted to ask you from the beginning. The very first thing you said is that it was your second career. What was your first career?
Yes. I was in public relations and marketing. And I worked for a big agency here in Los Angeles. And I just wasn't getting up in the morning and doing jumping jacks about promoting Mitsubishi answering machines or Nissan cars. And I was like, I'm really good at this and I can do it, but it wasn't my passion.
Right.
So that's when I decided I'm going to, despite getting messages growing up that design and decor was not a career, pick business, law, medicine. Those are your choices.
Right.
I said, no, I'm going back to school. So I went to UCLA.
Yeah, that's so good. All right. So I have here in your notes that you really want to create beauty every day and inspire people. And I love that as a mission. And as a goal, that's so exciting. And to help people live healthy by design, like I learned something new today. Healthy people are happier people. I agree with you. Healthy people are happier people. And in your notes, you said that happier people are kinder to others. And we all know the world needs more love, empathy, and kindness shown. That's so good. Tell me what you've seen when people move into their spaces that they've created with you that have gone in a direction that they probably didn't even really appreciate was possible.
Oh, that's a nice question. They are calmer. And I have one client who is a female judge. And she said, oh my God, I just a simple little thing like I have never slept so well in my life.
Wow.
And we created this like sleep sanctuary for her. And they feel more rested and calm and relaxed. And obviously I can't measure the, internal health improvements, but those emotional improvements, they mean a lot to me. When I also hear things like, God, I feel so much more confident now. My workspace really reflects my position in the world, in my company. And I love going in my home office in the morning and just seeing, the beautiful colors. It's clean, it's organized, it's neat. I usually encourage people to put up some client testimonials and kind of remind themselves of the good work they're doing or inspirational quotes. And so creating those areas of positivity and health and just helping people be successful through their environments is very meaningful to me.
Yes, that's so good. Now tell us, how can somebody get a hold of you?
Sure. I think probably the easiest way is go to my website and I'll say it once and then spell it. It's Soul Interiors Design and it's Soul, SOUL, Interiors, plural, design.com. And I've created a nice little handout to help some of your listeners, 9 key resources to create a beautiful home that elevates wellness. And I hope that'll be, initial step in the direction of not only creating beautiful spaces, but spaces that improve their health.
And is that available on your website?
Yes. They'll see a little button where they can download the PDF. It's complimentary. And, where we put in there some resources, some of the products that we really like.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's great. Gail, this was amazing. I learned a lot. It was so much fun talking to you. And thank you so much for being so honest and authentic about what's going on with your mom and what it's really like to juggle all of the things that sometimes are on a collision course with what we're doing at work and dealing with midlife. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, Suzy. It's been a pleasure, and I hope I've inspired some ladies to invest in themselves.
I think so. All right. That is it for now. If you're listening and loving what you hear, please like and subscribe. Reviews are great too and much appreciated. And if you're a woman in the middle who's 50 or over and an entrepreneur and would also like to come on the show, please go to www.midlifeinterviews.com and fill out an application. We'd love to have you on to share your story. Thanks so much for listening. It's never too late for you to put yourself on your agenda. I'm Suzy Rosenstein, and I'll talk to you again soon. Now, real quick before we say goodbye, if you are connecting with this show, I'd love to invite you to a happiness breakthrough coaching session. It's my laser-focused coaching call that will help you get clear about what's getting in your way as a woman in the middle entrepreneur and confident about your next steps to more happiness in your next chapter. Head over to www.nextchapterbreakthrough.com. Talk to you soon.